What if you were standing on the mighty walls of Constantinople on the night they finally crumbled? Can you imagine the sound of cannons shaking the stones beneath your feet? The screams of soldiers echoing in the distance, and the fires painting the sky red. Before we step deeper into this alternate reality, take a second to smash that like button. Let me know where you are watching from, and subscribe if you are truly ready for this journey. Now let us dive in. You hear the thunder of Mem-Two's massive cannons pounding the ancient walls. The ground vibrates like an earthquake, dust falling into your eyes, and suddenly you realize that the invincible city of 1,000 years is no longer invincible. Panic spreads like wildfire. Priests chant prayers inside Hagia Sophia. Mothers clutch their children, and soldiers clutch their swords, even though deep down they know the fight is already lost. As you stand among the crowd, you face a choice: run toward the harbor in hope of catching a last ship, or stay and defend your home in what might be the last stand of the Byzantine Empire. And the funny thing, in this chaos, someone still tries to haggle the price of bread, because humans will always be humans, even when the world ends. This is where your story begins. The final night of Constantinople, where survival depends on every decision you make. Inside the great city, survival feels like a twisted game show, except the prize is not money, it is living one more day. The streets are jammed with people rushing in every direction. Some trying to reach the great Hagia Sophia, others trying to grab food, and many just frozen in place, paralyzed by fear. You are in the middle of it, trying to decide whether to follow the crowd or carve your own path. Before the walls collapsed, life had already been tense. Weeks of bombardment left families living in constant fear, gathering around flickering candles as priests whispered about ancient prophecies. Some swore they saw signs in the sky, a blood-red moon, birds circling over the dome, and rumors that angels would descend to save the faithful. And yet, bread lines stretched for hours, and people shoved each other over scraps. Honestly, it felt less like a holy empire and more like Black Friday at Walmart. You think about your own chances. If you head toward Hagia Sophia, you will be surrounded by thousands hoping for a miracle. If you run to the marketplace, maybe you will find supplies, though probably just empty stalls. Or perhaps the best move is to find a shadowed alley, keep quiet, and wait for the storm to pass. But the question is, can you really wait, knowing that every passing moment the Ottomans are pouring through the gates? The city inside the walls is no longer the grand jewel of the empire. It is a maze of fear, chaos, and choices, and whichever turn you take could be your last. Survival in Constantinople is not just about courage, it is about science, technology, and cold, hard facts. You are trapped in a city that was once considered impregnable. And now, thanks to one brutal innovation, its fate is sealed: gunpowder artillery. Mem-Two's cannons were not just big, they were monsters of iron, capable of hurling stones heavier than a car engine today. Each blast shook the walls, not just breaking stone, but breaking morale. Think about it scientifically: starvation sets in after weeks of siege. The body burns through stored fat, muscles weaken, and even small wounds can turn deadly without medicine. Dehydration, 3 days and you are finished. That is why people fight over water fountains as if they were fountains of gold. The irony is, in the most Christian city of the world, survival has become a biology lesson. Now picture yourself with choices grounded in science. Do you risk sneaking into underground cisterns, where rats and stagnant water might still offer hydration? Or do you try to ration stale bread, stretching it far enough to trick your stomach into thinking you are not starving? Maybe you gamble on the harbor, searching for a ship with barrels of fresh water. But here's the kicker: the Ottomans have the harbor blocked. Your science experiment might just end with you becoming a hungry data point. Still, humans adapt. That is the one advantage you have over stone walls. You can improvise, hide in tunnels, gather scraps of food, even repurpose weapons. Imagine ripping metal from a broken cannon to forge makeshift armor. It won't be pretty, but hey, at least it might stop one sword slash. So the question is, will your survival depend on faith and luck? Or will you trust in science and ingenuity to get through the longest night of your life? As the city crumbles, whispers spread faster than the flames. You hear talk of prophecies, some written centuries before. The most famous one claims that when Constantinople falls, an angel will descend, turn a humble man into a king, and drive the invaders away. Now, standing in the ruins, you wonder, are these just bedtime stories, or could there be something more? Inside Hagia Sophia, the chants rise louder. The golden mosaics shimmer in the torchlight, almost as if the saints themselves are watching. Some swear they saw a vision, a glowing figure at the altar, wings spread wide. Others dismiss it, saying it was just smoke and fear playing tricks. But in a night like this, with death at your door, even skeptics start hoping for miracles. You think about the role of faith. Science tells you the walls are broken and the cannons are too strong. But faith tells you maybe, just maybe, something beyond reason could intervene. What if you saw a light descending from the sky? Would you fall to your knees? Or would you grab your chance to slip out unnoticed while everyone else stares upward? There are even darker whispers that secret relics, the Holy Lance, or even fragments of the true cross are hidden in the city. Some believe they could grant divine protection. Others that they would curse whoever dared touch them. Imagine stumbling on such an artifact in a dusty crypt. Do you pick it up, hoping it makes you untouchable? Or do you leave it, fearing it drags you into a fate worse than death? Mysticism fills the night as much as the smoke. And the strange thing is, in times of despair, these whispers feel more real than the stones falling around you. The walls are falling, the streets are chaos, and you know one thing for sure: if you want to survive, you need an exit. But Constantinople is a maze, and every route comes with deadly risks. One option is the sea. The harbor lies before you, but the Ottoman fleet blocks nearly every path. You might find a fishing boat hidden in the shadows, yet slipping past enemy ships feels like trying to sneak out of a rock concert without anyone noticing. If you are caught, you won't be treated as a passenger, you will be treated as loot. Another choice is the land. Secret tunnels snake beneath the city, old Byzantine escape routes whispered about in legends. Some lead to monasteries outside the walls. Others collapse into dead ends. Imagine crawling through the darkness, knee-deep in foul water, the echoes of battle above your head. Would you risk suffocating in the tunnels just to avoid the sword? Then there is disguise. What if you put on a looted Ottoman helmet, smeared ash on your face, and pretended to be a soldier? Maybe you could slip out in the confusion. But here's the catch: if your accent betrays you, you won't just be killed. You might become the evening's entertainment for bored guards. Every route tempts you with hope and threatens you with doom. Stay in the city and you will face certain capture. Try to escape and you gamble your life on luck, shadows, and clever lies. So, which way would you choose: the open sea, the hidden earth, or the mask of an enemy? Night falls, but there is no peace. Constantinople does not sleep, it burns. The city that once glittered with domes and mosaics is now a torch, smoke rising into the black sky. You crouch in the ruins, the ground still hot beneath your feet, the cries of the wounded mixing with the laughter of soldiers who now own the night. Survival becomes a game of hiding. You spot a wine cellar with its doors half buried under rubble. Inside, the air is damp, the barrels cracked, but it is safer than wandering the streets. The alternative: stay above ground and blend with the chaos. Maybe you can pass yourself off as a looter, pretending you are just another scavenger grabbing whatever gold is left. The risk: if the Ottomans catch you, congratulations, you just volunteered to become their property. And then there is hunger. Hours stretch into eternity. You gnaw on stale bread if you have it, or maybe, just maybe, you are forced to chew on something less noble. In desperate times, survival does not look like a noble knight's tale. It looks like a messy episode of Man vs. Wild, except you are the star and the stakes are your life. As midnight passes, you hear strange sounds. Not just the clash of swords or the crackle of fire, but whispers. Is it survivors praying? Is it looters scheming? Or is it something else? An echo of the city itself, groaning as its thousand-year soul is ripped apart. You tighten your grip on whatever weapon you have, realizing the night is far from over. By dawn, the ruins may swallow you whole, or, if fortune favors you, they may hide you just long enough to see another sunrise. So let us say you did not make it. The Ottomans found you. Maybe you slipped out of your hiding place at the wrong time. Maybe someone betrayed you, or maybe luck just ran out. Either way, you are now a prisoner. What happens next? Historically, tens of thousands were captured. Some were executed, others enslaved, and a few were even absorbed into Ottoman society. Imagine being dragged through the streets, past burning houses, chained alongside strangers. You are shoved into a courtyard where soldiers sort captives like cattle at an auction. Harsh, yes, but remember, we are playing by 15th century rules, and back then, human rights was not exactly trending. If you are young and strong, congratulations, you might get shipped off to a labor camp or drafted into the Janissaries, the elite Ottoman troops. That means training, discipline, and maybe, if you survive long enough, respect. If you are older or weaker, odds are you will be sold as a servant. At least that means food and shelter. Though freedom, forget about it. There is also the dark humor in it. No more worrying about rent, taxes, or your boss yelling at you. You have got a new boss now, and he carries a sword. And guess what? He does not care about your 2-week notice. But captivity is not always the end. Some prisoners escaped, bribing guards, sneaking through markets, or even being ransomed back by relatives or foreign traders. The real gamble is, do you try to adapt to your new life, or do you keep scheming for one more chance to break free? The fate of the captured is uncertain, but one thing is clear. You are no longer deciding your path. Someone else is, and in this new empire, survival means learning how to live under someone else's rules. Centuries later, people would call the fall of Constantinople the end of the Middle Ages and the dawn of a new world. But for you, standing in the rubble, it is not history. It is survival. Still, let us imagine the what if. What if you survived this night? If you escaped to the west, maybe you would end up in Venice or Rome, carrying stories of the lost city. Perhaps you would become a scholar, helping spread Byzantine manuscripts that would fuel the Renaissance. Yes, believe it or not, your survival could play a role in sparking new art, science, and discovery. If you stayed under Ottoman rule, your children might grow up speaking Turkish, walking through bazaars filled with spices and silks, and watching Istanbul, the city's new name, become the beating heart of an empire. In that life, survival would not mean clinging to the past. It would mean becoming part of the future. And here's the bigger thought: maybe history is not just about emperors and battles. Maybe it is about people like you, the nameless survivors who carried culture, faith, and memories forward. Without them, history has no heartbeat. So the real question is not just what if Constantinople fell, because we know it did. The question is, what if you had lived through it? What would your story be? Would you be a refugee shaping the Renaissance, a soldier reborn as a janissary, or a ghost haunting the ruins of a lost empire? Whatever answer you give, it reminds us of something timeless. History is not just written by victors, it is written by survivors. And that brings us to the end of this journey through fire, faith, and survival. If you have made it this far, thank you for diving into history with me. The fall of Constantinople was not just an ending, it was a turning point that reshaped the world we live in today. But here's the part where you come in. If you were there that night, would you fight to the last breath? Or would you find a way to escape? Drop your answer in the comments. I would love to hear your story. And while you are at it, let me know what if scenario you would like to see next. Maybe the Black Death, the Library of Alexandria. Or even something wild, like what if the Roman Empire never fell? Don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed this, and subscribe so you do not miss the next dive into history's biggest what ifs. Until then, stay curious, stay safe, and keep wondering.